Well, I'm working on the control system for the loader. This opening in the fascia was cut in when I built the benchwork because I already knew exactly what I wanted to do. I drilled the holes for the push rod yesterday. This is a piece of 5/16 dowel that I cut in half. I'm going to get that painted so it's all nice and dark in there. Let's have a look under the layout. You can see here the bottom of the mechanism. I've got to hook that up with some kind of crank. Well, I've made most of the major components for underneath the benchwork. I've got these two back plates. They both have to be odd shapes because they need to go around framing. I have a crank and a block to attach it at the right angle. Don't quite know where it goes there yet, but that fits on that one. The down rod hooks onto here, and the push rod from the control from the front of the fascia hooks on there. This one is a slightly steeper angle. I haven't assembled it yet. I'm just about to do that now. What I'm using for the pivot is brass tube instead of rod. That way I can just crimp the end to stop it coming out. Just push that through there. Okay, so I've cut that off about a 1/4 inch long, push it through half each side, and then just squeeze the end with pliers, and that will stop it coming out through the hole. Anyway, it took me most of the morning to get those done, mainly because I had to do a lot of calculations before I could do anything. So I'm going to finish working on these, and I'll check in with you again later. Well, I'm back to soldering again. What I have to do is get a plate on the bottom of these down rods and extend another one in the middle, and then hang a spring off the bottom of it. One spring hook. By soldering these loops, the spring just can't fall off and get lost. I've got a nice long overlap on these two pieces of brass wire, so there's no chance of it breaking. Originally I was going to attach the spring to the crank, but then I figured, what happens if it comes unhooked? I might end up with a big pile of gravel on the layout. So by attaching it directly to the bottom of the down rod, there's no way it can come unhooked. Alright, there's one sub-assembly. So here's the gravel loader in situ. It's not fully detailed yet, but I've been hooking it up, so let's take a look underneath the benchwork and see what I had to deal with. This framing member here was the first obstacle. As you can see, I had to notch the bottom of it to allow the rods to go through. I found the easiest way of notching it was with a paddle bit. Then I had to get through this maze of wire. And here we see the mechanism. Now you can see why the crank mounting plates had to be such odd shapes. In both cases I had to get it around framing members, and I had to get it into a position where I could put screws in at locations where I could actually get the drill. Both the cranks had to be at odd angles, and there were different angles too, because the two push rods are not parallel. I have stop blocks top and bottom. If you notice, the last layer in all cases is a different size. That's because I left it to start with more play than I needed, and then I just came back with a variety of different thicknesses of styrene and see what fitted. Another thing you might notice is that the springs pull at a slight angle. That will tend to hold the down rod hook in the crank instead of allowing it to float out. And here's the coat hanger wire that I used for push rods in the top hole. Since the two rods have to cross here, I made sure that I arranged to put them into opposite sides of the crank. That way they don't foul each other. If you look part way along where I joined the dowel rod to the coat hanger wire, all I did was drill a deep hole in the end of the dowel. It was about 40 millimeters deep, and then with the coat hanger wire I just put a slight kink about 20 millimeters from the end. That way it slides in. It's a nice tight fit and doesn't need any further attachment. Anyway, let's head upstairs again. Here are the controls. There's the loader, and they work. You can press them one at a time or both together. So now I can have some fun loading gravel trains. Well, the current status of the project is that the gravel loader is largely done. It's installed, it's operational, and it works just fine. There are a large number of details missing, and since I have a few detail parts still on order, I can't do it all just yet. And as it's a rather involved process to take it out and put it back in again, I'm going to leave it there until I have all the details ready to attach in one operation. So I'm going to get on with something else, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.